Quite well. Christine, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Okay, so tell us a bit about your role on The Chi.
Well, my role is pretty mysterious, so I can't tell you too much. All I can tell you is that I'm part of the gang world, and I run a block, and the story kind of centers on a murder, and I'm one of the characters that they try to figure out if I have something to do with it or not. And it's mysterious till the very last second. And it's complicated for me playing this role because he's, you know, it would be very easy to stereotype him as some kind of a thug, but he's much more nuanced than that, and he's got his own life and his own background and his own story, and it comes to an incredible conclusion at the end of the season.
Well, I know I'm on the edge of my seat after watching the first episode, which is out right now on Showtime. So, guys, catch up, get with the program. You mentioned such a good word. There is a sort of mystery about this because it's a coming-of-age story. It's a story that highlights violence and the way it affects communities, but it is a mystery because we don't know who killed Jason yet.
Not only do we not know who killed Jason, I think on the whole, the story kind of, when people think of stories about Chicago, they think of violence.
Right.
And if you look at the first episode, the pilot, violence is actually a very small part of it. So there's just so much more to the world to explore than the violence. And that's what makes it so exciting and different and, frankly, life uplifting. But yes, there is still mystery to the murder. There's mystery to the police and whether or not they are questionable figures or figures of authority that we trust and respect. There's questions about the gang world that I'm a part of. There's questions about our protagonist and whether or not he has the gumption to follow through on what he thinks he says he's going to. So there's mystery all over the place, and it's a lot of loose ends that we'll see how they get tied up during the series.
Very exciting. Tell me about what it's like working with Lena Waithe.
She's great. I was just telling the other reporter, I only saw her 2 or 3 times on set because she's had a very busy year.
I'm sure. What a year.
And but she was there on the day we were shooting one of my big scenes, and after the first couple takes, and I can't tell you what happens in the scene, but they were very exciting and very intense. And after the first couple takes, she came up to me and she was like, thank you for keeping it 100. And I was like, that's what I like to hear. That's what
you brought the heat.
I hope so. I hope so.
Is there anything you can relate to with your character? Like, well, not necessarily. I don't know. Were you trapping at some point? Is there something we need to know?
If I was, I couldn't talk about it. But no, I would say the thing that I key into with him is there's a power and a distrust. There's a power that he embraces and that he tries to use in his life. And I think with Black masculinity, there's people, we're all investigating power in different ways of, in both healthy and unhealthy ways. And he is investigating it in his own way, in the way that makes sense for his life. And so I just applied my version of that to his circumstances, and that's where we landed. And then also distrust from others, and how you negotiate and navigate your world when you have to try to be a step ahead of others, knowing that they're going to count you out or think less of you.
Very, very true. And I love that you touched on the idea of Black masculinity in this show, and I think it's represented in a myriad of different ways, whether it be Brandon's character or Kevin or Emmett and how he's living his life. I think it's really refreshing to see different types of Black men on screen, whether they be good or bad, protagonists, antagonists. I think it's really
variety, and to know that that's all part of life and all worth discussing and seeing and learning from and putting on display. And yeah.
Well, dope. One last really quick question. I mean, we just rang in the new year. Any resolutions you want to share?
Health and prosperity. I would say health and prosperity.
Awesome.
That's all I can wish for anyone, to be honest. So I definitely wish it for me.
Us too. I feel that. Well, it's so good chatting with you. Enjoy the premiere. It's so good to meet you. Yeah.